In the farthest corner of the galaxy, there's a planet that supports life. It's called Earth 68. What do you think Earth 68 is? It is exactly what you think it is. It has everything that your Earth has. It has civilization, it has nature, it has life forms, you name it. And so, similar to Earth, it is also suffered from a disease called generational trauma that affects most of the life forms living in it. This is Tim. Tim was 1 year old and Tim was born in 1942. Unlucky for him, he was in a race that these soldiers wanted to eliminate. His mother was killed and he survived. However, they sent him to the place where there were children just like him, an orphanage. Despite his childhood experience, he became such a good boy. He was always smiling, studying very hard, and he became a hardworking therapist. He got married, having kids. Everything in his life is perfect and he's happy. Good for him. But one day, at the age of 54, he was diagnosed with ADHD, and 4 months later, all of his kids are diagnosed with the same thing. The doctor says it's a gene thing. First, he got so surprised. Then he got really mad. He wondered why would anything like that can happen to him. Why, God, why? Why me? Am I not suffered enough? And then he calmed down and then he thought about his life. Then he studied a lot to understand his situation. He learned about neuroscience, childhood trauma, and lots more. And he felt something amazing, and you can't believe what he found out. In the body, the biology and the emotions are inseparable. Thus, when Tim was separated from his mother at the age of 1 year old, he couldn't remember that because the hippocampus, the brain function responsible for memory recall, had not developed yet. But the implicit feeling of abandonment is already imprinted deep inside himself, and he got the message that the world did not need him. Thus, what did he do to compensate for the feeling of abandonment and the feeling that the world did not need him? By being a people pleaser and a workaholic. Those are only examples of what a coping mechanism looks like. A coping mechanism is a group of personalities and behaviors developed by a child to compensate for the feelings of abandonment after the trauma happens. The coping mechanism creates a personality and a life of Tim and being with him from when he was 1 till he was diagnosed with the disease and learned about himself. Back to his family, when he worked 24/7, he was not available for his wife and his kids. Thus, the kids felt the same sense of abandonment. So, another victim or patient, whatever you might want to call it, was created. Tim's situation is just one example of when the outside world makes a child believe he's not needed. Examples of other circumstances will be when a child was physically abused or living with an emotional absence or denied parents. And depending on the child, he or she will get different messages of how the world needs them and develop different coping mechanisms. So you see, a society is made up of many individuals from different generations. And if we live in a society where the internal childhood wounds are not healed, it will pass on to the other person. And what we have here is a sick society that lasts until the end of time. A neglected child would turn into an addict, and when he has his own child, he now becomes the factor to create a new neglected child, and the cycle goes on. An abused kid might become an aggressive man, a submissive man, a drug addict, a depressed man, or the narcissistic, and the list goes on. You get the idea. Who the kid becomes depends on his coping mechanism when he experiences the trauma. And those men or women become the factor to the kids, and the kids will do that to the kids. And okay, we get it, we get the idea. So then, how to stop this madness? Well, I'm glad you asked. To stop this madness, one needs to heal oneself, and to do that, one needs a journal, knowledge, aka books, seminars, and YouTube videos, and human supports. So, what's up with the journal? A journal is for you to write down your observation about yourself, your thoughts patterns, your emotional patterns, your behavior patterns, what triggers you, why, your confusion about life, your fears, your angers, let it all out. Write everything and anything about you. Next is the key part, to ask the question why. Why do you think that way? Why do I feel that way? What is it in me that triggers those thoughts or emotions? What makes me believe in it that is true? What is the first time I have that belief? Meditate on those questions and your mind will bring you back to the beginning of it all. Your mind will show you the time you were beaten that caused you to feel a specific way about a specific idea, or the time someone said something and you believed it was true since that day. You would know what your thought is true if you feel a aha feeling, a feeling of realization in your heart. After that, you can imagine you were in that situation again and what you would do with yourself at that time to make your past self feel better. How would you protect yourself? It does not matter what you do. The key is you know the root cause of your pain and you are starting to heal it. Next one is knowledge, aka books, seminars, and YouTube videos. What's up with that? You need knowledge to understand more about yourself and your situations and circumstances and what you can do to let that trauma go. Knowledge is from everywhere, from mainstream and not mainstream sources. It doesn't matter where it is, as long as you feel it relates to you and it helps you understand yourself better, it works. Finally, human support. It is optional, it depends on your situation. It doesn't matter whether the one supports you in a form of your mentor, your friend, your loved one, or your therapist. As long as they make you feel safe, calm, and understood, you're with the right people. They are also there to help you to understand yourself. So, the healing process is a long journey of self-discovery to go back to the beginning of all the trauma and start to heal it from there. It's a hard work, but does it worth it? How a healed person look like? The more you heal yourself, the more you become calm, content, self-understanding and accepting, certain, responsible, feel light, understand life more, and make better judgment, and you will look at the world with different views. When you finally and truly heal that trauma, the memory of that experience also vanishes in your mind. Thus, the generational trauma diseases stops with you. And the more people like you, the weaker the generational trauma, until a point where everyone can have a fully healed society. On Earth 68, we have passed that social generational trauma. Now we live in a society where everyone is content, authentic, accepting, and peaceful. And the reason I'm telling you all this is that Earth is currently suffering from the generational trauma, and the faster each individual can heal themselves, the better Earth society will become healed, just exactly like Earth 68 situation.